My name is Mrs. Jagger. The book I'm going to tell you about today is The One Thing by Marcy Lynn Curtis. Here's what the book says about itself. Maggie Sanders might be blind, but she won't invite anyone to her pity party. Ever since losing her sight 6 months ago, Maggie's rebellious streak has taken on a life of its own, culminating with an elaborate school prank. Maggie called it genius. The judge called it illegal. Now Maggie has a probation officer, but she isn't interested in rehabilitation, not when she's still mourning the loss of her professional soccer dreams and furious at her so-called friends who lost interest in her as soon as she could no longer lead the team to victory. Then Maggie's whole world is turned upside down. Somehow, incredibly, she can see again, but only one person, Ben, a precocious 10-year-old unlike anyone she's ever met. Ben's life isn't easy, but he doesn't see limits, only possibilities. After a while, Maggie starts to realize that losing her sight doesn't have to mean losing everything she dreamed of, even if what she's currently dreaming of is Mason Milton, the magnetic lead singer of Maggie's new favorite band, who just happens to be Ben's brother. But when she learns the real reason she can see Ben, Maggie must find the courage to face a once unimaginable future before she loses everything she has grown to love. This book is about how Maggie copes, or doesn't, with losing her vision and how she shuts everyone out until she meets Ben. I'm going to read a passage from page 187 for you today, but it does have a swear word in it. Chapter 25. Several months ago, my parents sent me to a shrink, probably because I was newly blind, easily agitated, belligerent to my teachers, and fantastically sarcastic. Oh, and also because I was suddenly jolting them awake at all hours of the night with my newest and grandest hobby, chronic sleepwalking. The shrink's name was either Dr. Samuels or Dr. Smithton. It was some time ago, so I can't exactly be sure. What I do remember is slouching in her squeaky leather chair as she cheerfully grilled me about my school and my friends and my non-existent eyesight until my butt went numb. In the end, she declared that I was a normal teenager adjusting to new and difficult circumstances. And the sleepwalking thing? Just a temporary side effect. For the next month, though, my temporary side effect led me to wake up in the bathtub, on the stairs, and in the hall closet. I argued with lamps and raked invisible leaves off the living room carpet. But it wasn't until a couple months ago that I actually wandered out of the house in the middle of the night. I awoke to find myself sitting in an unknown location on an unknown slab of concrete, wearing exactly what I'd gone to sleep in, a t-shirt and my very worst underwear, with no cell phone, no cane, no shoes, and no clue what to do. Did I yell for help? No. Wait for assistance? Not exactly. What I did was listen to my inner jackass who told me to stand up and start walking. So I stepped into the street in front of a car and immediately got hit. In the end, A, I sprained my wrist, and B, I vowed to never again set foot in the outside world by myself, and C, I stopped walking in my sleep, and D, I realized that I was shitty at decision making because I rarely thought things through. So I was lying in bed the next morning wondering what to do, which made me think about getting hit by a car, which made me think about the school prank, which made me think about the mess I'd created with Sophie, which made me think about what I'd say to Ben, which made me think about selling myself out to Mason, which made me come to the conclusion that I was probably one lousy decision away from having the National Society of Crappy Decision Makers put up a monument in my name. Fact was, I'd waited and waited for something to happen with my eyesight, to see something besides Ben Milton and the landscape around him. And now that it had, well, I had no idea what to do about it, other than tell Ben. But Ben would not pick up the phone, like ever. None of the Miltons would, for that matter. And I'd left so many messages on their landline that my voicemail was overflowing, screaming digital profanities in my ear every time my phone connected with theirs. Maybe they're just busy, I reasoned, trying not to get overly paranoid. They couldn't all hate me. Not all of them. Not Mrs. Milton. But 3 days became 4, and 4 became 6, and then all of a sudden a week had passed, and I wondered if maybe all of them did hate me. Fine, I muttered out loud, blinking back tears and chucking my phone on my bed. Fine. I got to work researching. Holing up in my room on the computer, tabbing through articles of inexplicable science, minds capable of incredible feats, People who achieve incomprehensible miracles, brains that stretch beyond gray matter. But after hours of searching, I came up empty. I learned of a man who could lift a car on his own, a woman who was able to digest metal, some guy who had the ability to move objects with his mind. Even in a world of anomalies, I was an anomaly. I picked this passage because it shows Maggie struggling with her issues involving her blindness and friendship, and also the subtle humor in the book. I think people who like stories about having real problems and not knowing how to deal with them should read this book, because Maggie takes a long time to figure out how to deal with her blindness, and the relationships she builds along the way are amazing. I laughed. I cried. Thank you.